All right, so here's the PowerPoint I use to repeat my own morning and nightly mantras, morning upon waking up and at night before sleeping. There are many slides to these mantras, but I will show the first 8 or so. So I'll read it as verbatim. The keys to success. I am what I think about. This is the law specified by Earl Nightingale that the key to sex or the key to success is ultimately we are what we think about in our minds. And given that I am in control of my mind, I am in the driver's seat. So I try to match my words with an image because ultimately the image is what will stick when I am repeating my mantras and trying to remind myself that I have control. And so what exactly do I have control over? Well, I have control over my finances, that's for a fact. So, and as part of my habits, just by reading this every day, again, 2 times per day, in the morning upon awakening and in the evening before sleeping, I review my finances and I make sure I know how much money I have in the bank and how much I'm allocating for saving, spending, investing, so on and so forth. Next, I am in control of my time. What does this mean? This means that I use a calendar and I name every hour of the day. To be honest, this is something I'm still struggling with, so I'm not perfect at it yet, but just by having it on my mind consciously, it makes me more diligent in making sure I can at least know what the next day is going to be. And then once I master the next day, then I can master planning for the week. And once I master planning for the week, then I can master planning for the month. I think after a month of planning, it's kind of hard to guess what comes next because really you don't know, it's hard to plan out what I want to do even by maybe 10, 20 years in the future. So, but I think a month is good enough. Next, I'm in control of my thoughts. Again, why is this so important? I'm in control of my thoughts because I am what I think about. So if I think about anxious things, I will become anxious. If I become stressful, then that's because I'm thinking about things that are going to harm me or things that I'm blowing out of proportion. So, but on the other hand, if I'm thinking of success, or I'm thinking about goals that I'm striving towards, right, then there's no need for me to be upset or mad at myself or anyone else because I know what I'm going after, right? And if there's something that's bothering me, then I should adjust my thinking to reach that new goal that I want instead. So an example of this is maybe working first as a scientist and then eventually pivoting to thinking I want to work more in the private industry. So that's where this thinking is coming from. If I don't like where I am, I can simply change my goals, change my thinking, but there's no need to stress over that. So I simply need to remain calm and focused on my goal. And in this thinking, I ultimately have control over my attention. It's without a doubt that today in this world, our attention is the most important part, our most important asset as a human. So I read in a book once that if you stick out your fingers out in front of you, right, like so, stick your fingers so your thumbs are here, right in front of your eyes. If you put your thumbs here and you start to separate them just like that, right, in front of your eyes, eventually what will happen is you notice that you can, with both eyes, you can focus on both thumbs. But as you spread them out just a little bit, suddenly your eyes, you need to look back and forth between your thumbs, right? So essentially, where's the camera here? There. Here, both thumbs are visible with both eyes. There's no need to switch around. But the moment you start to go just a few centimeters out, now your eyes are having to go back and forth. And of course, if you go very far, right? Now your eyes have to shift tremendously. So our attention is only just a few centimeters of space we have, right? So whatever is in our field of vision, that is where we are giving our attention to. And compare ourselves to deer, for example. Deer have their eyes on the side, right? So they scan the area. We're not meant to scan. We're meant to be focused, right? That's why our eyes are in front of us, not on our sides, like deers or cows or horses or so on and so forth. So attention means having control not just of your thoughts, but also what you consume, because what you consume visually and also through your ears as well, auditorily, That's when you become your thoughts. And ultimately, this leads to this: I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So the moment I realize that I have control over everything, meaning the moment I have control over my mind, I have control over everything else. As long as I control my mind, I have control over my finances, I have control over my time, I have control over my thoughts, I have control over my attention. And if all of those really sum up, I mean, that's a big part of life. You can also add in a few other details, maybe friends, family, fitness, relationships, so on and so forth. But the key is your mind. So if you have control over your mind, then you are the master of your fate, and ultimately the captain of your soul. And that all means that you get to decide where your ship goes as the captain, because you are in control. You are in the driver's seat of your life. So if I'm unhappy with where I am, I get to decide where I get to go next. Above all else, the most important part: act as though it were impossible to fail. Don't believe it's impossible to fail. Act as though it were impossible to fail. There's a big difference. Dreaming makes us ambitious but lazy, and that's the worst place to be. But acting, right? This means that we can lose battles, but we still win the war. So if we're okay with failing, knowing that it's impossible to fail in the long run, as long as we don't quit, right? Then we can essentially guarantee success. It's a very simple law, actually. I think we complicate it so much, but that's why it's simple. It's simple, but it's not easy, because all you need to do is guard your attention, your thoughts, and everything else will follow through, right? The mind. And I think it takes a sort of muscle, a hyper-awareness of being able to question everything and question yourself and question how you're spending your time. So the moment you find yourself scrolling on social media, you can stop yourself and say, hey, wait a minute. I've spent maybe 6 hours scrolling on social media, and what have I done with my life, right? It's a sad, harsh reality, but once you realize that you are essentially wasting time, then you regain control. So it's incredibly hard because, I mean, it's just so easy. So that's where reading books such as Atomic Habits can come into play. If I find myself, I know for myself personally, I struggle a lot with, social media consumption. So as long as I'm able to put in areas of resistance, right, instead of consuming social media, I can produce. So this is my first effort of producing, or I guess my second effort. I posted before. But now I'm taking more time, and it's not going to be perfect. That's the point. By no means it's going to be perfect, but it's something. It's better than consuming and getting into that habit. So I was planning on showing all 8, but given that it's 8 minutes now, I should perhaps wrap this video up. So this first slide, I read my mantras again. The key to success: I am what I think about. I am in control. I am in the driver's seat. I am in control of my finances. I am in control of my time. I am in control of my thoughts. I am in control of my attention. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Above all else, act as though it were impossible to fail. That's all.